I am going to give you the benefit of some very hard-earned wisdom. No matter how much you prepare, that one thing that you said, you know what, I wonder if that's going to affect something later on down the line, that's going to affect something later on down the line. Heated grips. Cut the tube so that it fits in. You know, there was no problem with the wire getting in. What I did not take into account, which I said, I wonder if that would affect it, and then I did not think about. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are dealing with a bar that's set for throttle by wire, I highly, highly recommend that you just cut this notch completely out if you are going to install heated grips. Thankfully, I found a place that will sell me just the grip with a completely separate part number than having to order the entire kit. So, now you know. Finally got the bushing kit in from Triumph of Cleveland. These are the upgraded bushings that you need with the high handlebar kit. And for those of us who didn't get that kit and are doing aftermarket ourselves, you're going to have to buy these separately. Here are the part numbers. For the bushings themselves, it is T2047590, and you are going to need 4 of these. Their name is Bush Rubber H-Bar Clamp Firm. In addition, you're also going to need some flanged sleeves, and these are part number T2045065, and you will also need 4 of these as well. And these just fit in together, you know, just right inside of itself, just like that. So that's going to be what you need to do. Now, in order to get these bushings in, you are going to have to take off your risers, either stock or if you're using the up and overs. Now, in order to get to them, you are going to have to take off these cable holders, and these are with a 5mm Allen key. So once you get those off, you can go. Now, mind you, this will take your instrument panel out of the way. That will fall off, but once you get that, then you will be able to slide your wrench back here and loosen up your bolts. Now, one thing to remember is as you are going ahead to crack these, you are going to want to make sure that your handlebars are still attached, because that's going to keep your risers from spinning out. Okay, once you get these nice and loose, which these are already loosed, we are then going to come over, make sure your tank is protected, and we're going to go through the process of taking off the handlebars. Once the handlebars are off, we can continue taking off the bolts for the risers, and you can see there's a lot more give now. Once those are all off, I'll go ahead and pick back up. Now that the bars are off, bolts are cracked, you can go ahead and just twist these off. And if you drop it, that'll be a problem. Just make sure you try to protect whatever scratches you end up making later. And do the same thing on this side. Well, good news for anybody who had the Motone up and over risers. And forgive me, it's been such a long time since I installed these that I didn't even know. So anyway, this is the bushing, the stock Triumph bushing. It is pretty darn squishy, and this is the new one. It's, you probably can't see it, but it is a lot stiffer. Now, good thing that I didn't think about before is that the Triumph, the up and over risers from Motone actually came with the flange sleeves. So all I had to do was change out the squishy bushings for the new bushing, and now this is really, really sturdy. I possibly even could have gotten away with just not using the more sturdy bushings, so that if you do have the Motone up and over kit, you aren't going to need to order these. But if you did not, and you just have your stock risers, you are going to need them. So hopefully, even though I opened the packaging, they'll take back the new flange sleeves that I ordered, and I'll be able to just go ahead and, you can see down here, if you push, you have another set of bushing and sleeve down there, and I will just pop that out and replace that. Do the same thing with the other one. Now once you turn these around, you get them, essentially you're going to want to get them kind of finger tight so that you can still wiggle them, okay? But it's more or less where you want it to be. All right, from here, the reason you want it like that is so that you have enough play to go ahead and fix your bars on, and kind of, the same thing. You're going to finger tighten these up, and what I'll end up doing is taking the wrapping off, get these to where I want them to be, and then once these are nice and positioned where I want them, I'll go ahead and torque down the riser bolts to 38 Newton meters. Make sure that if you're going to be doing anything with steering components, or if it, something that specifies you need to get a certain torque down, always torque things down to specifications, safety purposes. All right, so once you get your riser bolts all snugged up, and here these are done to 38 Newton meters, you have to go through the process of just kind of double checking, making sure that your bars are where you want them, that your bars are centered, and that everything is feeling good. Here I am, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with my settings right now. You can, keep it loose enough to where you can move it back and forth as you need to, but here I'm feeling pretty good with where I'm at. So what I'm going to end up doing, these 4 bolts will need to get tightened up to 24 Newton meters, and you're going to start with the tops. Make sure you have your torque wrench set, but you always start with your tops. That way you get as much adjustment as you need before you have to stop. And voila. Now I just have to go ahead and put the cable tidies back up underneath here so that I could reattach my cluster and tidy up all the wires. I'll go ahead and put on the mirrors. We'll go ahead and wrap the handlebars, and then last but not least, I will have to throw a fly screen on here so that I can put my my gate badge for work on. And then I'm going to call this quite terrible springs set of work to a close. As you can see on the original bars, it has a threaded piece right in the middle, and then there's an area for the wires to go in so that you can twist the throttle and it won't shear off the cable. So I already made it a point to take care of the bar end. I cut, as you'll see later, a space for the wires to go. my son asked me, why can't I just put a piece here and, you know, just have it suspended from the top? And that ended up being kind of an interesting idea, because now, and here you can see I have a space for that wire to go. The handle itself will cover this part up, and I'm not concerned so much about the structure of this area here, because no actual weight is being put on that. And so the thought occurred to us, why not stick something to the top that would have a place to screw into in the middle. So he is kind of flabbergasted by the fact that I can use this to fix things around the house. It's really cool to him. It's just like magic, you know, metal. So the idea came to be, I got one of these. There are like little 1-inch aluminum spacers. And what I did was I cut that down so that it's a lot less thick on both ends, and then JB welded a nylon washer nut to the end of it. So what the goal is now is to take some JB weld, gloop it up on the top here, and then set this directly in there, so that when it sets and dries, I can pull this screw out and it would leave the, you know, the actual portion here in the handlebar, so that I would be able to just screw my bar and mirrors and use some blue Loctite, screw it in there, and then hopefully that will stay. Now, if for any reason this won't work, I'm going to have to try to figure out something else, but I've got a good feeling about this one. I will let you know how it turns out after I get that all set. My new grip comes in today, and so I am looking forward to putting this bike together. I am going to take my new grip. Thankfully, they do sell this as a singular part. I will put the part number in the description below. Once I get this in, I will be able to feed this up through here, past the nut, and once I get it through, I'll be able to put the whole bar on, attach it up there, sorry about my camera work, and set it up. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Again, as I told you before, there are those screws in here to tighten that down. Make sure that you do that before you put the housing on. After I get that done, I'm going to tighten down everything here with some blue Loctite on the controls, just to help keep those from shaking around. I'll tighten up the mirrors with the Loctite, and from there I will go ahead and put in the battery. It's been a while since the battery's been in here, so I'll just throw it on the trickle charger overnight, and tomorrow we'll see how this thing runs. Come join me next time when I fart around with mirrors and learn that nothing beats welding.